Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship race weekend number 2. My name is Lena Vendemars and I'm very happy to be the face for this weekend. We are just about to get started for qualifying number 1 on the Saturday, and we are here at Slovakia Ring. It's a very cozy racetrack. I like it a lot. Everyone is very close to each other, so it's very easy to say hi and just hang out and just see how people are doing, because there have been some trucks that just got fixed last minute for this weekend, still having some damages from race weekend number 1 in Italy. And of course we have one guy who is cool as ice, Mr. Norbert Kisch, who really killed it in Italy. And let's see how the story goes over here. All the free practices went very well for him, so let's see who's gonna be the number 1 for this weekend. But before we will lead over to this qualifying, of course we have our lovely commentators, Chess Traycott in the English, and then Fonsi C for the Spanish audience, and of course Joachim Eberts for the Germans. See you in a bit.
Thank you very much, Lena. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second race weekend in the 2024 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. My name is Chaz Draycott, and as Lena rightly pointed out there, if you fancy the German commentary or Spanish commentary, you have Joachim Eberts or Fonsi Cebrian on our own YouTube streams for those. But this is the first qualifying session of the weekend, and it's going to be a mighty exciting time here at the Slovakia Ring. It's going to be a real pinch point because of the fact there's such a long lap here. It's going to be the main talking point of the weekend. Conditions are never easy here either. We've had a lot of rain here in the past, all of a sudden, from going from hot conditions like this straight into rain. So the drivers never know what they're going to get when they come here. It's a humongous start-finish straight, as you see, but a great circuit to go racing, and always a pleasure to be here with the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. What we're going to do then is have a quick look at some highlights from last year, last time we were here, because in 2023 it was all about Norbert Kisch and him doing something that he did last weekend in Italy, where he took all 4 race wins. But there's the rain I was talking about. One of the real highlights of the weekend was the fact that it absolutely pelted it down before one of our races. We got the trucks on the grid and it was still dry, and then all of a sudden there was a massive rainstorm. There was a lot of drivers and teams, even Christina was on the grid, bless her, out in the conditions, but the drivers then got on with it. It was a wet race and it was a difficult one for a number of drivers. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez got amongst it with Andre Kurzim getting involved as well. There were some fantastic battles though throughout the wet conditions. Jamie Anderson having a strong weekend with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez battling with him as well, and Norbert Kisch was doing his usual in the wet and scything his way through the pack in the reverse grid races. Jochen Hahn unable to do anything there into turn 10 on that occasion. There was a full course yellow implied for the first time that I'd seen it since commentating on the championship, but the teams were all raring to go no matter what the conditions. It was a fantastic vibe last year at the Slovakia Ring, and great entertainment as well, and a real way to get the championship up to full speed. There were a number of drivers that had mixed weekends as well, with results in some races and not in others where it didn't quite go their way, but that is part of motorsport. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez getting red flags brought out for him as he was off in the gravel at turn 1. A tiny bit of contact had spun him off, but he was lucky to get back on the grid and have everything checked over by the FIA and Goodyear to make sure that the truck was safe to get going again. At the end of the day, safety the utmost priority. The fans were still enjoying themselves though, and that's one of the best things about the Slovakia Ring. The fans have got such great access to the circuit, but it was Norbert Kisch doing 4 wins out of 4 last year that was one of the real highlights. A grand slam, as we call it, something he repeated just 2 weeks ago in Italy, and we wonder whether he can do it again this season. The team and he certainly seem on form at the moment. And we're going to go back down to Lena, who's also on form down there in the paddock.
Yeah, I have quite a race car with me, so my team, we decided to show you what it looks like when the trucks are going out on the pit. So we are right behind Steffi Heim, who just passed by, and in front of Antonio Albacete, who is following us right now to go out to the qualifying, which has been slightly changed for this weekend, because it has been changed in total to spice up things a little more for the season. Normally there are 3 qualifyings. One is like for 15 minutes, 10 minutes and 5 minutes for the top 6. But for this weekend we only have 12 competitors, which kind of deleted the long qualifying of 50 minutes, so they kind of took both together. So now we will have a 25-minute qualifying and later on 5-minute qualifying, but I'm pretty sure Chaz will tell you all about it later on as well. So let's see how Mr. Albacete is doing. In a good mood as always. I already can see his smiling eyes, and I'm very excited about this qualifying, because let's hope people are as fightful as they have been in Italy. Come on, speed it up a little bit. Speed it up a little bit. Chaz, back to you.
Yeah, there's not quite 1,200 horsepower in the Golf buggies, to be fair, but yes, it's going to be an interesting qualifying session, this one. I really enjoyed the new format last time out. We've gone for a Q1, Q2 and Q3 format this time, where the field gets split up into sections, basically. So the first session determines a set number of positions on the grid. The second session then does a few more from a bit further up, and then Q3 does the last 6. But we'll go over that again in just a minute. This is the circuit itself here at the Slovakia ring. Only 14 corners, which isn't as much or as many as a lot of Grand Prix circuits that we tend to go to in the calendar. However, it's the fact that this place is nearly 6 kilometres long. It is a huge circuit. All these corners are quite far spread apart, so the drivers get a long time to get a decent run on one another and have some heavy braking zones to try and do some overtaking. But a lot of the circuit's very flowing. The tyres really do not last well around here, so they have to be mighty, mighty careful with it all. Only 5 kilometre wind speed today as well, which is rare here at the Slovakia ring. Usually it's a very windy circuit with how flat it is. And you can see as well just how long and wide that start-finish straight is as well. I think it's an ex-runway, this start-finish straight here. There is a sort of military museum off to the exit of the final corner over the course of the weekend. You might see a couple of missiles and helicopters and things propped up behind the barrier down there where they have that museum or that little sort of area. But yeah, the start-finish straight here is absolutely colossal. There's a few sort of artificial little mounds and rises on this circuit as well, which makes it quite interesting. So there's a few hills for the trucks to go over. None of them sort of mid-corner, really, so they don't have to worry too much about them taking off any sort of camber from the wheels or anything like that, or losing grip. There's one of those mounds now, actually. That, I believe, is down towards turn 2. And then they have this fantastic network, as you can see here, actually, on the inside of the circuit of all the sort of safety roads and all of the access roads and so on. It's a very well put together racing location, is the Slovakia ring. I really do enjoy it. Hope I get to go out there one day. I'm here in the UK again for this weekend, all comfy and cosy in my office, so I don't need to worry about rain or shine from the circuit conditions. But I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend wherever you may be around the world and ready for another weekend of racing. But like I said, qualifying a bit different this season. We had Q3, which was an originally, I believe, a 15-minute session that would basically determine the top positions above 12th. So everybody below that would be kicked out, and then the second session would go on with the 12 drivers in. They would have a clean slate, start again. It would be 10 minutes in that session, and that would determine the top 6 drivers who would go through to Q3, and then they would have a 5-minute shootout to get a final time in and set the top 6 positions on the grid. Because of the length of the lap here, it is going to basically be a 1-lap shootout in that session, because they simply don't have long enough to get all the way around, do a lap and then fit another one in. They will only have time to do their out lap and then do one fast lap. The clock will tick to 0 by the time they have finished that first fast lap. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on drivers here. Definitely a lot of pressure to make sure that they don't overdo it. That's one of the best things about these new qualifying formats, is that the drivers are under a lot of pressure, and if they hit one of the penalty markers or they overspeed, that one lap that they've got is deleted, and that is that. So they can drop down from usually starting on the front row, for example, to starting in 6th place. We saw a bit of drama actually at Misano as well. Steffi Halm, for just a minute, had to try and get a secondary lap in, and she was actually sort of impeded. There were drivers in the way on her way around the circuit, and she couldn't actually get that second lap on the board, which was a big shame. But here, this weekend, for the Slovakia ring, there will be a slight change to the proceedings in this qualifying. So what we're going to be doing is having the 2 first sessions combined into one, effectively. So it's going to be one 25-minute session. So it's qualifying 1 and 2 together, because we have just the 12 trucks out on the circuit for this weekend. So we don't have anybody lower than 12th to obviously be knocked out of the first session. So trucks on track for the very first time. And we have Norbert Kiss leading them around. He is the championship leader, and that is the way that they head out on to the circuit itself. They go out in championship order. It's Norbert Kiss who comes here as championship leader with maximum points over Jochen Hahn. Sascha Lenz and Antonio Albacete are tied at the moment, but it's Antonio on circuit ahead of Lenz, I believe. No, actually, I don't see Sascha Lenz out on the circuit, interestingly enough, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on there, whether Sasha's got some sort of issue. We'll have to hopefully see him back out on the circuit. But then we've got Antonio Albacete out there, Steffi Halm, Andre Kurzim. They are in the Titan category. Don't forget, 2 classes for this season. No effective overall standings, but just the Titan and Chrome classes. We have 6 from each this weekend. So in the Chrome class, we have the championship leader, Stefan Fass. We have Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Heinrich Clemens Hecker and the team are not here this weekend, but we send them our best wishes and hope that they are all well. It's basically business related stuff. They are not here this weekend. They're focusing on working, and they are working away from the circuit. We also have Mark Taylor and John Newell and Luke Garrett as well, the British contingent representing the United Kingdom. And then we have Louis Requenco out there as well in the number 64 Iveco, the dark green machine you could just see for a moment there on your screen. There's Antonio Albacete just starting his lap, or at least partway around his out lap anyway, just getting everything up to temperature, making sure everything's working fine. They have had practice sessions and warm-ups and all sorts before this, but you never know what can happen in any session when you head out there. Sascha Lenz is now out on the circuit, I can tell you. He's made his way around. And there is your championship leader and reigning champion, Norbert Kiss, in Big Red Baloo, the number 1 machine, making his way around the end of the lap. This is just towards the left-hander at turn 9, which heads down to the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. A big overtaking opportunity down there. It's where we saw a lot of people try sort of outbraking manoeuvres last season, especially in the wet as well. Norbert was really good at getting the truck stopped down the inside there in the wet conditions. But turns 10 and 11, very, very tough. And there they are, actually. That is turn 10. Then the right-hander at turn 11. Big weight transfer there. Then you've got to flick the truck left through turn 12 and then up over the crest of the hill, down towards the 2 final corners. Turn 13, which is almost a 270-degree right-hander. And then turn 14 is a left-hander, just that little kink onto the start-finish straight where the circuit really widens up. There's Jochen Hahn, truck number 2. You can see the 5th wheel on these trucks with the little shark fin on the back. We've brought Total Energies on board this season as a partner of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and they've got these lovely little shark fins now on the 5th wheel as well to help promote their branding as well. And welcome also to Joost, who joined us as a partner for the championship, and hats off again to everybody behind the scenes working with the series and the ETRA for doing such hard work, getting more and more partners and sponsors, getting people involved in the championship all the time. It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of that as well. So here we go then, everybody making their way out and making their way around the final part of the lap. There is Luke Garrett, just backing off slightly just to leave a bit of space to the trucks ahead. You want to make sure that you don't catch up to the truck directly in front of you and get impeded in any way. You just saw Sascha Lenz flash up over the top of the hill for a moment there. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez still running the bright yellow and grey colours of Jonathan Andre's Lion Truck Racing team for this second weekend. He usually runs a blue, white and red Rebo Connaught Racing Team truck, does Jose Eduardo. But they're continuing to run these colours there. Over the crest of the hill they go then towards turn 2. I would say it's flat out, but the trucks are obviously governed to 100 miles an hour, as we often mention. They just have to make sure they don't exceed that 100 miles an hour, but they get round turn 2 easily at such a speed. Another crest of the hill there as we watch Steffi Halm down towards turn 3. Another very long, important hairpin. Gets it tucked in on the exit of the corner. Turn 4, long left-hander. You can see the weight transfer there as the truck sort of rolls slightly left to right. Then turns 5, 6 and 7, possibly the hardest corners on the circuit, because that is turn 5, and it sort of transitions into turn 6 now as Steffi gets on the brakes, tucks the truck in that little bit more. It's a really long hairpin, and on the exit you've got to clip that left-hand side there at turn 7, just there. And then you're already on the brakes into turn 8, another one that's almost like a bit of a triangle of a hairpin. It's not quite 180 degrees. Steffi on the power on the exit. That's somewhere where we're going to see people getting track limits warnings and hitting penalty markers and all sorts, because it's very easy to get on the power early and run wide there. There's Luke Garrett, truck number 42 in the Garrett Truck Sport MAM. Had a couple of points finishes at Italy. Came away with 12 championship points. Had a DNF, unfortunately, in race 3. I don't think he was classified in the end after a failure on the final lap. But as he and the team have said, it's a brand new truck, and they are basically using it as glorified testing the first round and the second round even, just getting it all dialed in. There was actually some great pictures on their social media yesterday, and a lot of the team all went out in the truck during some of the sessions as passengers, which was lovely to see. I know Daryl and Danielle and Lisa in particular went out there on the circuit. Lisa, Luke's wife, said she was scared to death but really enjoyed it. It's a hell of an experience in these trucks. The crazy thing about it is that they obviously, you can see that they move around a lot, but when you're in the cab, it doesn't feel like they move around a lot. It's crazy because you're so high up. You're not sort of on the peak of the centre of gravity at the bottom of the truck. You know, you're not on the ground like you would be in a touring car or a GT car, so you don't get thrown about anywhere near as much. It's remarkable. I was fortunate enough to go out with Antonio Albacete last year around the Nürburgring, and thanks for Tim Frost for sorting that out. It was just an amazing experience because it's so easy to be on board. I get motion sickness more than anybody else I've ever met, and I'm pathetic when it comes to it, but honestly I felt absolutely fine in the cab of the number 23 machine. It's Jochen Hahn that is fastest at this present moment. Now let's not forget, this is going to be qualifying 1 and 2, so you need to be in the top 6 to go through into Q3. Jochen Hahn goes fastest with a 2:42.842. He's ahead of Norbert Kish by a 1/10.5. Antonio Albacete currently 3rd. Then it's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, importantly, in the chrome category. He's the only one to go through at the moment. Sasha Lenz crosses the line, goes 5th, and puts Andre Kurzim in 6th position, but puts Steffi Halm out of that top 6. Next up is Louis Requenco, then John Newell, Stefan Fass, Mark Taylor, and Luke Garrett in 12th position. But Sasha Lenz doing a good enough time to get himself through for now, but this will be the period of the session where the drivers now rein it in a little bit. They will all slow down slightly, and they will make sure that the trucks are back into sort of, let's just say, full running order before they can then get them back up to full speed for another fast lap. Because at the end of the day, if you do 2 fast laps in a row, the truck's just not quite at their best for that second lap. It's easy to overheat the tyres and overdo it. So you want to sort of give it a lap or so just to rein it back in. And you can make sure the brakes are all at the right temperature. They've got water jets on the brakes here as well, and on the intercoolers of these trucks. Usually automatic, but the drivers can operate them as well. And now it's going to be the part of the session where I'd say probably, I'm not sure whether Sasha Lenz, I mean, he was only, what, 21 thousandths of a second ahead of Andre Kurzim. He's only 3/10 ahead of Steffi Halman. It's a long lap here, so you can find 3/10 quite easily around a lap here. So Steffi Halm could very easily upset the party, or spoil the party, so to speak, there, and get ahead of either Sasha Lenz, Andre Kurzim, or Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Steffi's definitely got the pace to beat those guys in this session if she puts a good enough lap together. We'll have to just wait and see. But you can see they're all at reduced pace at the moment, waiting to go for another lap. There is Antonio Albacete, tied with Sasha Lenz in the championship, coming here on 35 points, 2 third-place finishes apiece. And Antonio shows no sign of slowing down yet. I remember a fantastic chat that I had with him at Harama. I think it was just last season, actually. And he was saying that, you know, why would I stop racing? At the end of the day, he'd end up in a workshop or something, or just watching on the TV. If he's got the chance to, you know, get on with it and enjoy the racing, then why not? Looks like he's coming into the pit lane. And hats off and hello to my good friend Franz Salberg, by the way, at the FIA. He's mentioned that the teams may actually, because of the length of the session, the teams may actually go into the paddock to go and change tyres. They're not allowed to change tyres in the pit lane. So because of how long the session is, they may just nip back into the paddock, get a quick tyre change sorted, and then go back out on track. We might see a few people do that. They might just do that between qualifying 2 and 3. We'll have to wait and see. But it's Jochen Hahn fastest, Norbert Kish second, Antonio Albacete third, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez fourth, followed by Sasha Lenz, who has stayed out on the circuit. Andre Kurzem and Steffi Halm have both come into the pits. Now they need to remember that it's the top 6 that go through here. Luke Garrett is still out there on the circuit, John Newell as well, Louis Requenco also out there on track. There is Luke Garrett flying down the start-finish straight towards us, 160 kilometres an hour before he turns in. You can see the truck responds really well. It's amazing the change of direction in these things, considering that they're nearly 5 tonnes. They do change so quickly. Over the crest of the hill there, down towards turns 3 and 4. There's John Newell swinging the back end of the truck around. Same with Luke Garrett down there at turn 2. Luke with his first full campaign in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Won the Division 2 class in the British Championship just a couple of seasons ago, but then had a year out as they developed this new truck. Making his way now down towards the left section. You can see it's an awesome shot actually as John Newell comes back in the opposite direction out of turn 6. The trucks sort of end up facing towards each other, almost in like a sort of jousting position on this middle bit of the circuit. There's a lot of trucks in the pit lane though, except these two. It seems like Louis Requenco did go in the end. It's just that he was hanging back and waiting a bit further down the order. But there's so many of them that have opted to go back in. They may pop back out on the circuit. It may just be a quick check over to make sure the tyres are all right for another run, because the tyre degradation, like I've said around here, even though it's not as hot as it has been in the past, we've been here before and it's been over 40 degrees Celsius. I think it was the 2022 season. It was ridiculously hot. I think somebody measured in some of the cabs it was nearly 60 degrees. It's just balmy temperatures. But even without it being that hot, the tyre degradation around here is still immense. Goodyear have brought new compounds to the championship this year. They've got a harder, newer tyre. It's more versatile. It's better in the wet as well. It's a lot more durable throughout these races. But even here at the Slovakia ring, it is being put through its paces. And let's not forget as well that Goodyear have a fantastic campaign where they retread the truck racing tyres. Obviously, if subject to the tyre being in good enough condition, they will get taken back and retreaded and used on the road. We're going to go back down into the pit lane because we're going to speak to the man that is currently fastest, Jochen Hahn. He's with Lena.
Yes, currently fastest, and I really like to see him and Norbert always fighting for like 100 seconds. Last time it's been, I don't know, like very tight, and you ended up on second place. Now you're leading right now. So what's your plan for the next qualifying session, the next 5 minutes? And are you eager to finally win this race?
Yeah, you know, this is the qualifying 1, so it means nothing. So I see Nobby have a small mistake in the first corner, and that's it. So don't wish somebody what happens for yourself, you know. From this side, and he make no mistake, and I make no mistake. I think we have only between, you know. In the Espanol, it's a pelo, okay. Yeah, the strategy is maximum attack. We fight for the pole position. That's it.
And you have a very long racetrack here. You have new tires. So is it also about saving tires for the race later on in the qualifying now?
No, not really. In the time practice, you look for the fast lap. You know, it means don't care about the racing. So that's the first step. It's the qualification. The second step is the racing. We need for sure a different setup for this, and cross the fingers. We found the best setup for the qualifying, I hope, and we found a good setup for the race to fight again for the first position.
Yeah, and Slovakia Ring is a very fast racetrack, but it has very narrow corners. So a mistake, as you just said, can be really hard on the race because it doesn't forgive this racetrack, right?
Yeah, in the end, Slovakia Ring is two racetracks. You know, it's a very fast part of it and a very tricky left, right, and yeah, normally you need two setups for this. And from this side, we must go, what you say, very careful with the tires. And this is the key to win a race here.
All right, so good luck to you in the next qualifying session, 5 more minutes. And I'm going to walk with you right over to Steffi Harm, because as you just learned, it's only the top 6 who will be within the next 5 minutes battling for position 1 to 6 again. And unfortunately, she just hit on position number 7. And I'm wondering, because of course on the free practice, they get their own round timing. So Steffi, when you learn about your own timing on a racetrack and then you're in the qualifying, are you eager to beat your own timing? And now you're in 7th position right now. What does it mean to you in the long qualifying? Are you stepping out and you're like, okay, let go with the first top 6 and I will fight later on? Or are you a little mad that you just missed out on another possibility to go on qualifying again?
We will go out directly now to make another lap.
All right, because the time is still running, so I'm very lucky I got to speak to her. Chaz, back to you for now.
Thanks, Lena. Yes, I was going to say it's probably just a case of let the truck cool down, sort of. It's almost like giving it a hard reset. Just get it how it was at the start of the session and then go back out and put another lap on the board just to see how close they can get to that top 6. Louis Requenco is still in 8th position. He's just finished another lap and just crossed the line there. It was not his fastest lap, though. It looks like it was a sort of almost like an in-lap, but he didn't end up coming into the pit lane. I think maybe he's just starting another one now. It didn't look like he was attacking the first corner that much, though. We've got other trucks coming out on the circuit as well now, so a few of them trying to break up into that top 6. A reminder as well that all of the trucks that you see out there on the circuit run on 100% renewable HVO diesel. It's all very green, clean racing here in the championship, and there are the beautiful 5th wheels with a little shark fin on the back. It's divided opinion, apparently, the shark fins. I had a few people, a few friends from within the community, let's say, and within the paddock, messaging me saying, "Oh, I'm not so sure on the little shark fin. I don't know if I like it or not," and other people saying they absolutely love it. So it's definitely a bit of what we call here in the UK a Marmite change to the trucks. I think it's brilliant. I quite enjoy it. I think it's a funny little addition. It's slightly, I don't mean this to sound sort of bad about it, but it seems like it's now the word's gone out of my head, to be honest with you. It's almost like an ironic thing. I'll come back to it in a minute because we're going to go back down to Lena. She can take this one.
And there's Andre Kursim, and I really like this gamble. We have 25 minutes, and look over there. You can see the timing. We have more than 6 minutes left. One lap is about 2:45, so you can calculate for yourself like Steffi just did. She can do 2 more laps and like just speed it up and get a better timing. And I'm feeling like they might do 1 more round. See, just to see how the others are doing, but safe on tires. And once you know the timing of the others, you can go for yourself and just try to be better. I really like that a lot. Just back to you.
Yeah, they're really cutting it fine towards the end of this one. I love that Kursim Requenco sticker on there. They've got the eagle and the bull on there. That's really, really cool. They've got their own little logo. I like that a lot. But yeah, as I was going to say, it's almost like the shark fin having something that's like almost aerodynamic is quite an ironic thing to have on the trucks, because especially at that part of the truck itself, that will make no difference whatsoever to any sort of downforce or grip or anything like that. And I love the fact that it's just so small on the back end. These racing trucks don't have humongous rear wings or rear spoilers or anything like that, but just a little shark fin on the back. It's not going to upset anybody. It's not going to change anything in terms of the behavior of the truck, but that's one of the best things about it in truck racing. You can put something like that on there and it doesn't really affect anything. Some people don't like it. I think it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. It's quite funny in a way. You can see it from all angles as well. It's a fantastic promotional tool, as you can see, with Total Energies coming on board for this season, and we thank them for that and look forward to hopefully strengthening the partnership over continuing seasons. There is Mark Taylor, the Taylor's Truck Sport machine. I was talking to Paul Horton from the team last week. He was saying it was a remarkably busy weekend with all the social media posts and all the photography and all sorts that Paul does, keeping it up to date with their website as well. It's busy weekends this, even for those of us that aren't there at the circuit on the weekends as well. But it's fantastic fun to be a part of the championship and a really great vibe again, as always. So Jochen Hahn, Norbert Kish, Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the top four all still sat in the pit lane. They're happy with the times that they've put on the board. So Sascha Lenz is back out. Andre Kurzim will be going back out shortly to make his way around the circuit. Steffi Halm in 7th place. She's back out there. Louis Requenco still on circuit. This man, John Newell, is currently 9th overall. In the Chrome class, he's actually 3rd at the moment, ahead of Stefan Fass, who comes here as the championship leader as well. Stefan hasn't always had the best time around here at the Slovakia ring, though, so I know that he's going to be hoping to find something this weekend to improve on the times that he's had. He hasn't improved on that lap by the look of it. This is now going to be his fast lap. I think he's been winding up to this one. Same with Steffi Halm as well, just in front. Maybe Stefan can use the fact that Steffi's there to try and just not even learn something about the circuit, but maybe just take a different line into a corner that he might not have used before. Steffi just kicking up a little bit of the dust on the exit of turn 1 there. Flying down through turn 2 towards turn 3. Again, using all of the curb on the outside of the circuit. You've got to be so committed around this track. Like Jochen rightly said before, it is a track of 2 parts. You've got the really high speed section of the circuit around the outside, around the perimeter, and then the tight and twisty interior. We're going to go back down to Lena, though, who's down there in the pit lane.
And I'm waiting for another truck just to show you the speed. I know television always slows it down a little bit compared to reality. So if you ever have a chance to come to one of the European races, please do so, because it's really a pleasure to be around and just see everything in reality. But to have a look on the watch, it's like 2:28. And I just heard a little bird whispering that Steffi Halm and Andre Kurzim, almost as always, are having a little battle going on about who's going to be the faster one. So let's see how the story goes. And this is what Andre Kurzim was just waiting for, to see how Steffi Halm was performing, to have his last lap right now, trying to kill her time and to be a little faster. So let's see how the story goes. 2:03, and let's just hope I can show you another track before going back to chess, just to show you how much of a pleasure it is to be here. But it's a very long racetrack and everybody is very close with each other, so I think it takes quite a while to have everyone coming back here. So okay, Chess, I think we go back to you, and as I told, oh, there he is, Mr. Louis Requenco, woohoo, with 160 top max speed coming by. I like it. See you in a bit.
Yeah, it's absolutely remarkable, honestly. When you have the buzz of them flying down the pit lane and down the start-finish straight, it's just there's not really much like it in motorsport. These things are 5.3 tons as minimum weight, and they do easily hit 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. It's just ace when you see it. Really, really ace. Steffi Halm coming around the final corner now, then through turn 13, flicks it to the left through turn 14, down the start-finish straight, and across the line she'll go. Will the time be improved? Having a look, and no, she was 0.3 of a second off her best time there, actually. That keeps her in 7th position, and she will not go through into Q3, which means at best she will start from 7th on the grid, unless she does another fast lap here. But I think it's unlikely, because the teams often just have one lap and then cool it back down again. There is the underneath of the number 23 T-Sport burnout machine of Antonio Albacete. Tim Frost there on the right-hand side. Having a bit of a debrief after that session, but 3rd fastest. They'll be happy with that. They'll be pleased with the times that Antonio's put in. As whoa, Steffi pushing way too hard there through turn 2. Off on the exit, and you could tell she was going to go for another fast lap there, and unfortunately that has gone to pot there. Sascha Lenz has just gone 3rd fastest, actually. He just takes the 3rd spot from Antonio Albacete. He was already in 5th though, so he hasn't pushed anybody else further down out of that top 6. Andre Kurzim comes to the line. Does he improve on his lap time as well? His last time is showing as a 13 minutes time, because of course he's sat in the pit lane for a long time. I think he's just started the lap now, actually. The checkered flag comes out, so the drivers get a chance to now finish the lap that they're on. Yeah, Kurzim, I don't think actually is going to push for another lap now. I think he's just going to stay as he is. But Sascha Lenz, great stuff towards the end of the session there. Only 0.3 of a second off of Jochen Hahn. Norbert Kish second fastest there. And yeah, you can see Andre Kurzim weaving around. He's happy with that. So he's not going to try and improve on his time. Don't think there's any improvements further down either. Stefan Fast looked like he was on another lap, though, because we saw him go flying past Steffi Halm. So I think he was on for another quick time. We'll have to keep our eye out and see what the sector times look like for him. But Sascha Lenz there on your screen in the number 3 machine. We'll be very, very happy with that lap. There is Stefan Fast, truck 24, the Scania. Out of turns 11 and 12, up over the top of the hill. And can he get a good enough time on the board to dethrone anybody ahead? He's behind John Newell and Louis Requenco. He's currently 4th fastest in his class. Here's turn 13. Now, it looks like he's gone really wide there, but what he's doing is sort of taking an early apex, letting the truck run wide so he can then spit it out the other end at turn 14. It is pretty much the optimal line around there. You don't want to hug the inside curb all the way around because it can be slower, and it means that you lose momentum as you go down the start-finish straight. And Stefan Fast crosses the line. And there is no improvement on that one by the look of it. 2:46.7. Yeah, he was 2 seconds off his fastest time there. There was a time deleted for Luke Garrett as well, unfortunately. So he's had a time taken away from him. He will still start 12th on the grid. Mark Taylor around the last corner there by the look of it. Any improvement for Taylor? 2:46.1. So it seemed like once the fast times had been put in early on, it was mighty difficult for any of the drivers to beat that. And other than Sascha Lenz improving at the end there, the session remained pretty stable right to the checkered flag. And there you see the checkered flag waving in, I was going to say in the wind, but there's barely any compared to what we usually get here at the Slovakia ring. It's normally like being in a tornado at this place because it's so flat and so, there's just nothing around that sort of stops the wind. Sure, you've got the trees there, but it's such a vast open space is the Slovakia ring. As you'll see as well from our camera angles, you know, you've got a lot of places where you can see a number of different parts of the circuit from other areas. And you can see it there. You can see how flat it is off in the distance. From one part of the track, you can pretty much see the whole thing, I'm aware, from the grandstand on the start-finish straight. You get to see all of the circuit, except for maybe behind one or two of the little artificial hills that they've put in. So usually it's a lot more windy than this, and that can provide a challenge for the drivers and the teams as well. If you do have a headwind, you have to sort of compensate that when you're trying to get the truck to sit at 160 kilometers an hour or 100 miles an hour. So there's a lot of thinking goes into managing that, but Stefan Fast won't be too chuffed with that session, if I'm honest with you. 10th place outright, 4th place in class there, behind John Newell, Louis Requenco, and then Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who makes it through into the top 6 as well. Great stuff from him. Another Q3 for him. He appeared there at Misano as well. Stefan Fast actually made it through to Q3 in the second qualifying session of the weekend on the Sunday. That's the thing now. We've got Saturday Q3 and Sunday Q3. I've been wondering on how to best designate them over the season. By the time we finish the season, I'll have figured it out. So hopefully the FIA are listening and they don't change that for next year. Still, there is the timing screen in the pit lane. Jochen Hahn goes fastest. And he will be through into Q3. There is Antonio Albacete, eventually demoted down to 4th place, but he and the team will be pleased with that to have got through into Q3 at least. Another solid weekend's work by Tim Frost and the team at T-Sport Burnau. And now this is just the couple of minutes where the drivers now make their way back into pit lane. Everybody sort of makes everything official and gets all the trucks ready to go for another run. I can tell you now that the times on the timing screen have been taken away, so they will be now reset for the next session. And that's the thing, there's nothing really gained from the times in Q1 and Q2. So the only thing that it changes is the order in which you go out on the circuit from the pit lane for this next session. It doesn't mean that you get any time taken off or any sort of advantage in terms of lap times going into Q3. You don't gain anything from it in terms of your final position. It is a clean slate, like I've said. The times get taken off the board, and they have to set another one now to be quicker than the other drivers in that session. I love the idea of having this format here this season. Spices up the qualifying sessions. It means also that with the drivers being under pressure, you know, they could make a little mistake here and there on the lap. They could make just the tiniest little movement that ruins that lap in general. You know, just they're not quite pushing as hard, or they're sort of holding back slightly to make sure that they don't overdo it on a lap. That it could cost them overall positions because they only get one attempt. But as you see, lovely conditions here at the Slovakia Ring for the second race weekend of the season. It was mixed at Misano, to say the least. There was a bit of rain here and there, and especially on the first day as well. On the Saturday, there was a bunch of rain throughout the first race, but then it all cleared up for later on in the weekend. There is the number 11 machine of Andrei Kursim. He's gone through into Q3. Very interesting design on the front of the Iveco. Very striking design indeed. I'm still undecided on whether it's pretty, but it's certainly an interesting look. The team are very proud of their work, and so they should be. They've put a lot of hard work into the front end of these trucks. There was a slight change to the regulations regarding sort of where the holes in the truck can be to sort of make the air flow under the cab and over the wheels and so on. Just the aero at the front end was changed, just to give them a bit more resemblance towards the real-world road-going trucks that you see on the roads. There has to be still that link between the trucks that you can buy for your business and obviously our race trucks as well, on which they are based. Similar to the world of touring cars. You know, if you see a Honda Civic, for example, on the road, you can see a Honda Civic touring car and know that it's effectively the same thing, just a different version. That's what they're sort of aiming for here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. 10:15 local time. It's just going past 9:15 here in the UK. And we've only got a couple of seconds now before the session will get underway. The trucks will be back out there on the circuit in just a sec, and it'll be Jochen Hahn leading them out from Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who is under very little pressure here in this session. He's the only Chrome driver to go through, so he doesn't have to put a time on the board that's faster than anybody else, really. Andrei Kursim will start in 6th. The fans will sound, or the horns will sound anyway. Not from the trucks, actually. That's from the fans above the pit lane. A lot of fans of Norbert Kish here at the Slovakia Ring as well. A lot of the Hungarian fans make their way over here. But it's that man there, Jochen Hahn, 6-time champion of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, that leads us out onto the circuit. A great effort by Jochen and the team. Any of you that would have seen my social media post this morning of me at my desk would have noticed that I'm actually wearing a Team Hahn Racing t-shirt for today. That I got at the Nürburgring in I think it was 2022 actually, not even last season. Thank you to the team for that. Much appreciated. So only a 5-minute session here. As you see in the top left of your screen, there's barely even 4 minutes of the session left to go. So they don't have all the time in the world to crack on here and get a lap on the board. It's nearly 3 minutes for a fast lap, so they should be okay, so long as they have some sort of urgency about them. But this will literally be a one-lap shootout. And at the start of the season at Misano, I mentioned this. I was really excited for this round because of this in particular, because it is just one lap. There's other circuits where they may be able to get 2 laps in over the course of the session. But this place, no chance. It's just going to be the one. So Jochen Hahn can determine the pace at the front of the pack here. The others are allowed to overtake him if they want to stream on past, but at the end of the day, they don't want to overwork the tyres. They don't want to overwork any components of the truck. They want to keep it all in as good an operating window as they possibly can. So Jochen is just going to take his time here for just a minute. And rightly so as well. Like I say, you don't want to overdo it. And don't forget, we have 2 race broadcasts coming up this weekend. Next one will be coming up at 1 p.m. local time to the Slovakia ring. Midday here in the UK. And then later on in the afternoon, the race 2 broadcast will start at 4:05 local time. And then 3:05 in the UK. So quite a nice spread out day. It's an early one tomorrow though, as the programme time will start at 8:05 UK time for qualifying. Then the race broadcast 12:30 local and 11:30 UK, and then 3:25 for race 4 of the weekend. So it's quite an early finish for everybody working actually on the championship on the Sunday. Sometimes we go to nearly 6 o'clock local time at some of the circuits. But here this time round, before 5 p.m, everyone's going to be clocking off early. That's if we obviously have a straightforward run through of the race. As you see then, less than 2 minutes on the clock now. So not long, but as long as all the drivers cross the line before that timer hits 0, they will get that fast lap that they have started. And they will get time to complete it. However, there's a lot of pressure riding on this. There's a lot of places on this track where you can go outside of track limits. Look at the big gaps that they're leaving between one another just to make sure that they don't catch up to each other on a lap or get impeded just in case there is a difference in pace. Norbert Kish now getting onto the power out of turn 13. Through the left at turn 14. Look at the acceleration of these things. What a fantastic shot that is, as Norby just flings the truck out of shot. Down the start, finish straight. Up to 100 miles an hour, where the drivers are tracked via GPS to make sure they don't overspeed. The trucks are capable of doing more than that, but it's down to the drivers to keep them at that speed. So it's not just a case of being flat out down the straights. Sasha Lenz in there as well. Bit of a shuffle from the truck into turn 1 there. The back end trying to move around. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and then Andre Kurzim completing the 6 drivers out there on the circuit. Jochen Hahn is the one leading them around. He's used to being at the front as Jochen, so it's certainly not somewhere that he is unfamiliar with. There's Sasha Lenz going through turn 2. Again, that's a real part of the circuit where you can run wide, but you can see he just keeps those right-hand wheels inside the white lines, inside track limits. Cutting it nice and fine, using every bit of the road, smoothing out the circuit wherever possible, down towards turn 3. Avoids the penalty marker on the inside. It's not our big usual sort of white foam penalty markers that we have with us here. They're just sort of like orange sticks, but they're still very easy to see on our broadcasts. Checkered flag is officially out as the timer hits 0. Now these guys going through turns 5, 6 and 7 in the middle section of the lap. There is Jochen Hahn just coming towards us, then Norbert Kish, and then Sasha Lenz as we have on our screens here. Sasha was the last truck out on track actually for Q1 and 2. I'm not quite sure what the situation was there. I wonder if I can speak to Steve Miller from Apollo and see whether he can give us an update on why that might have been. Could have just been running a little bit late with work on the truck before the session. You never know, it can be the most innocent of things, but we wonder whether it was a potential issue with the truck or anything that could hold them back, but it doesn't look like it, because Lenz is on the pace at least. Has been doing a good job through Q1 and 2 to get here into Q3. Through turn 10, there's turn 11. Almost 180-degree right-hander. Let it run wide, clip the apex of turn 12, and again let it run all the way over to the right-hand side of the circuit, over the crest of the hill. You've got to be so careful, though, because they're reaching 100 miles an hour just as they get to the downhill section of that crest, so it's very easy for them to overspeed there and overdo it. That's one place where they need to keep their wits about them. So Jochen Hahn has come around the final corner and is about to cross the line right now. Let's see what he can do. Checkered flag waves. It's a 2:42.8 for Jochen Hahn. Norbert Kish just clips the gravel on the inside there. Clips the grass, I think, just kicks up some dust. And he goes faster. A 2:42.698 for Norbert Kish. Sasha Lenz goes a second off him in third place. Albacetti beats him to the second row of the grid. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez goes fifth fastest. Can Kurzim beat that? No, he cannot. And it is going to be Norbert Kish that takes pole position by just over a tenth and a half from Jochen Hahn. But bear in mind, It is nearly a 3-minute lap round here at the Slovakia ring. That is mighty, mighty close between those two. Once again, I think it was 61 thousandths or something like 30 thousandths of a second between them at Misano. Remarkable stuff, but Norbert Kiss turns it around in Q3 and manages to get pole position for the 5th race in the 2024 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. That is another pole position for him. He's currently on a 100% record of pole positions this season. Lenz will be disappointed to have been beaten by Antonio Albacete there. I know the two of them certainly fighting one another hard this season. They've always had this sort of inter-rivalry as well, which is always good fun to see. And just to confirm it as well, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez takes pole position in the Chrome class. Just as an update as well, if there are any sort of overspeeding penalties or anything like that, we will have to wait and see on those. Apparently there was an issue with the GPS system just earlier today. We've had that before here at the Slovakia ring as well, actually, over the start-finish line. There's been an issue in the past, so it's a buggy circuit for that, it seems. But we wait and see whether anything does come of that a little bit later on, so we'll keep you updated in the meantime. In terms of the Chrome class, by the way, it is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Louis Requenco, then John Newell in third place. Stefan Fass will start fourth in class. He actually started the very first race of the season in fourth position in class as well. Mark Taylor will be fifth, with Luke Garrett in sixth place. We have no Bradley Smith or Heinrich Clemens Hecker with us this weekend. Jochen Hahn will be happy with that one, though. Only less than 0.2 of a second off of Norbert Kish. A great time in the end by Jochen. And they had the inkling as well that they were up there because he was quicker than him in Q1 and 2. So a great sign that they're on the pace at the moment in the Hahn Racing team. And all 6 of our trucks that made it out in that session will now head back to the pit lane. But the Iveco just not quite beating the MAN on this occasion. Albacete and Lenz make up a very exciting row 2. They had a little bit of contact at Misano in the first race of the season that determined their positions. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in this next one. You can hear turbochargers sort of spooling down and whistling their way down towards turn 10. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez there, hoping to retake the lead in the Chrome class for this season over Stefan Fass. He's certainly in a great position to do so there, with Stefan starting fourth in the class. Jose Eduardo took 2 race victories at Misano, races 1 and 4, but had 0 points in race 2, of course, after the incident with Sasha Lenz. The two of them got stuck together. It caused big damage to the front of their number 38 machine. They got it fixed so he could get out the next day, but it was a big overnight job to get that truck sorted. And that was where he dropped big points to Stefan Fass. So Stefan leads the championship. Good consistency from him all weekend. Finished on the podium in all 4 races at Misano in his class. Here are the final results of qualifying then. In terms of the Titans, it's Norbert Kish and Jochen Hahn on the front row. Titans indeed, with 11 championships between them. Antonio Albacete adds another 3 into the mix as well. In third place, Sasha Lenz will start from 4th position. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Andre Kurzin will line up on the 3rd row of the grid, ahead of Steffi Helm and Louis Requenco on row 4. John Newell is ahead of Stefan Fass in the Chrome category as well, taking 3rd place away from Stefan's 4th position. Mark Taylor and Luke Garrett will complete the 12 truck field, starting from the 6th row of the grid, hoping to get more positions in their respective classes as the race goes on. As you saw there, though, plenty of heat haze here at the Slovakia ring. It's nice and warm once again. Thankfully for the drivers and teams, it is not baking hot like it was a few seasons ago. Like I said, it was almost unbearable, the temperatures. There were a lot of teams and drivers wondering whether they were even going to go racing because of just how hot it was. Which is not something I've heard of before, to be honest with you. It's nuts, isn't it? Usually it's wet weather that will ever put a stop to racing, but yeah, it was dangerously hot. I mentioned a Honda Civic touring car earlier on. There's one literally on the right hand side of your screen there as well, waiting to go out on the circuit, out of all of the racing machines we'd see. There are a couple of other championships taking to the circuit this weekend as well. I think there's some Porsche Cup cars out there on the track as well, which I've seen in the paddock. Lovely shot there of one of the birds around the circuit making its way. They've got a fantastic view of this place anyway. No trees to worry about on the infield or anything like that. Could certainly perch up on top of the grandstand there and have a lovely, lovely view. We've got the podium as well, right next to the grandstand. You can just see the blue banner in the background there, actually, here at the Slovakia ring. It's a really, really cool podium because it's up there sort of on a balcony. There it is, actually, on the left-hand side. And it's right next to the grandstand, so the fans get really close access to the podium presentations. They get hats and all sorts thrown towards them and plenty of champagne as well. It's always a very entertaining podium for that here at the Slovakia ring because the drivers are right in front of all of the media and all of the fans. So they put on a very good show when it comes to the champagne spraying. And there is one of, I believe that's a Ligier LMP3 car ready to go out onto the circuit. So it's clearly some sort of like sports car and touring car combination series that's out there this weekend. Those Ligier LMP3s sound absolutely remarkable. We shared the circuit with them actually for the Truck Grand Prix 2 seasons ago. I think it was the ADAC Prototype Cup. With yours truly commentating on it actually as well, and those V8s in the LMP3 cars sound remarkable. It's like a thunderstorm. Not quite the same sort of thunderstorm as our trucks make with their 13-litre 6-cylinder engines, but yeah, the LMP3 cars certainly do sound very, very spicy. But look at the scenery here. It's a big, vast open space. Like I said, the Slovakia ring. It's a gorgeous circuit, an excellent racing venue to come to. We're very grateful to come here every season. And we thank the wonderful people behind this amazing location for having us year on year. And we're going to go back down into the paddock, though, and we're going to speak to Lena.
Some extra turns, actually in a very small version of herself. I really like that. Everyone should have that, and then the kids could race each other. So let's see how Mr. Sascha Lenz is doing. He just ended up on 4th place. And he got into qualifying quite late today. I'm not sure if he had some issues beforehand, so let's find out before we will be getting out of the stream. There he is. Come with me. Hello. How are you?
Good, and you?
Yeah, good. You did quite well. And you got into qualifying very late. Did you sleep in or
No.
have a party last night? Or?
No, we have a small problems inside the truck with the camera system. So the display was working and the car, and I go in and then I see the bolt that's falling out, you know, and then we find not directly the bolt. That was the problem.
Okay, you did quite well catching up and going into the front. Are you confident for the race later on at 1 p.m.?
You know, the temperature here, it's really hot and it's really hard for the tires. So find the correct setup now for 8 laps. It's not so easy, but we will see it's racing and we see us after the checkered flag. You know?
Yeah, we have a new rubber mix on the tires because they will be performing better in the rain, which we hopefully will not have over here this time. I think it's more going to be the hot races. So see you later on. And we have some highlights from today, and I see you at 1 p.m. and at 4 or 5 p.m. this afternoon.